humans. We're walking, talking contradictions. Some of us launch ourselves into space, climb mountains in the snow for fun, solve infinitely complex problems and traverse the globe. And we'll happily spend 12 hours binge-watching celebrity dogs eat ice cream. Despite our sometimes questionable viewing habits, we are making astounding advancements across all areas of life and science. The more we discover, the more we come to realise just how much more there's left to know. At the same time, thanks in part to those same advancements, we're hounded by the impacts of our progress on the natural world. As humans, understanding the way we see problems and solve them starts with understanding ourselves and our own limitations. We can only view the world through our own frame of reference, from the lens of our own understanding and experience. What do you think when you hear the word technology? Perhaps it's your laptop, your smartphone. Perhaps you get philosophical and ask, could we live without the internet? For us, technology is silicon, it's copper, it's code and Moore's law, all wrapped up in human-centered design and shipped to our doors. When we think technology, we think man-made. We see these beautiful finished products as the result of the ingenuity and resourcefulness of everyone involved. Infinitely complex and interdependent components working seamlessly as a result of their limited development time. Our software updated to fix the bugs we find in the fields, because as hard as we try, our solutions are never perfect. Our technology is limited by human understanding, by budgets, by development time. What would happen if we applied the concept of technological development time to the natural world? Would we see infinitely complex and interdependent components working seamlessly as biology and ecology? Would we find technology self-replicating without our intervention? In this model, our planet has had billions of years of development time. Evolution is a biological software update. Adaptation, a bug fix in a changing environment. If we could see biological systems as technology, could we more readily accept the capacity of the natural world to provide solutions to our challenges? Could we see bugs as a fix? Some innovators already look to the natural world to find answers. Biomimicry. When we model technology on biological systems, we solve problems, like the Japanese Shinkansen bullet trains. Engineers could make the trains go fast. That wasn't the problem. The trains went so fast, they created sonic booms when traversing tunnels, walls of sound so intense they caused structural damage. The fix was found in nature. Remodeling the train's nose on the kingfisher's awkward-looking beak allowed the trains to slip seamlessly through tunnels, like a kingfisher breaks the water in a dive. No splash, no boom. Super fast trains without the damage, all thanks to our application of natural development time. This story is interesting because it's unusual. Normally, we apply a human-centered approach to problem solving. What happens when we apply a human solution to waste management? We put rubbish in the bin. We truck it to a big hole, preferably as far from our homes as possible, and bury it. If we're concerned, we might sort our recycling. We might seek out and buy products that are environmentally friendly, degradable, even 100% biodegradable. These words all make us feel better as consumers, like we're reducing our impact and doing the right thing. It might be hard for you to hear that these are all unprotected terms. That means there's no mandatory standard holding these products to account on our supermarket shelves. There are voluntary standards, like the ones behind me. When I saw this quote from Mark Brown following the 2016 Senate inquiry into plastics, I thought, seems a little bit alarmist, Mark. Surely not. So I went to have a look for myself. My search took me to Standards Australia, then to the SAI Global Store, where I was met with the privilege of paying more than $100 for a copy of the standard, which makes it really tough to be an informed consumer. What I did find is that degradable just means microplastics, so maybe strike that one off your list of terms that make you feel like you're doing the right thing. What we do know is that without certification, these terms basically mean nothing. Even when our products verifiably meet the standards to be 100% biodegradable, the inputs and resources required to create, distribute, and dispose of these often single-use products are substantial. And the degradation testing is done in industrial composting facilities. These intense conditions are not replicated in landfill or in nature, where many of these products will still end up. Now, I'm not here to make you feel worse about the contribution that we all make to plastic pollution. Hearing stuff like this makes me feel so helpless, like I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying desperately to make the least worst choice and probably getting it wrong. And that's really depressing. So let's talk about dogs. Dogs are objectively awesome, as our 12 to 15,000 years of shared history reflects. Australian households are more likely to have a puppy, now all dogs are puppies, than they are to have a human child. We might even care more about our dogs than we do about most people, as our dog's passing is likely to hit us harder than the loss of a relative or friend. On the flip side, dogs are also weird, stinky pervs with no concept of personal space and the environmental footprint of an SUV. They're weird and kind of gross, but we love them. We love them so much that we're willing to put our hands in flimsy plastic bags to pick up their warm, sloppy poops. Maybe we're weird too. Have you ever considered just how weird it is that we put our hands in those bags? Picture it from the dog's perspective. I imagine they must think we're harvesting it for something extraordinary. Think about it. We follow them around with specially designed bags that go in the big green thing with all of the other fun, delicious smelling stuff that puppies aren't allowed to play with. And the humans put all of the green things out on the street on the same day every week to be eaten by the big trucks. And the humans freak out if they miss feeding a truck, so it must be important. Do you think the dogs wonder why we're feeding their poop to the trucks? Indeed, why are we feeding the trucks our dog's poo? It's a good question, because we've evolved on a planet alongside creatures which are specifically designed to reintegrate poo into the soil web, where it's a vital component to life rather than a stinking and disgusting mess on the footpath, or worse, your shoe. Have you ever come across a fresh turd on the footpath and wondered why some people are so inconsiderate? Perhaps you were filled with quiet rage that someone could leave something so disgusting in your beautiful city. Now, I'm not suggesting that leaving a poo is okay at all. If you're a person who does this, you need to know it's a legislative requirement that you pick up after your dogs in public. Our councils work so hard to control the problem with signs and fines and social shaming. If your dog poops, you need to do your bit too. But for the poo that is left over, just how much are we talking about? If you could close your eyes and visualize the last time you were in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Take yourself back to the pool just floating or swimming laps. Smell the chlorine. Feel the water against your skin. Hear that weird echo chamber thing that all pools have. Now, this is very important. Take yourself out of the pool. How long do you think it takes the dogs just living in Canberra to fill that pool every year? It's about 6 months. This year, one pool is already full of turds, individually wrapped in millions of plastic bags, and we're well into the second. Australia-wide, we're looking at nearly 250 Olympic pools filled with billions of bags, all to landfill. And the landfill solution is even weirder than us and our dogs combined. It's not how our ecosystem's designed to work either, because it creates waste from resources. 4.5 billion years of development time has meant that our planet has come up with some pretty cool solutions. Just like bees are wonderful pollinators, ladybirds control aphid populations, and without blowflies, the world would be overrun with carrion. Dung beetles are in charge of processing poo, and they do a great job. When dung beetles are present, they can bury up to 90% of a poo within 3 days. The tunnels they dig aerate the soil, reducing compaction, allowing carbon capture and broader, deeper root systems for plants, which is good for, oxygen. Their tunnels, the tunnels they dig, allow rainwater to absorb, reducing runoff and erosion, because the water will fill their tunnels and absorb, rather than taking the topsoil and organic matter to the nearest drain or creek. Soil loves organic matter. That's where it belongs. There's more biodiversity in a square metre of healthy soil than there is in a square metre of the Amazon canopy. All of those organisms need to eat, and poo is perfect for them. Creeks and rivers probably feel a bit the same as you do about poo. They really don't like it very much. Rich organic runoff is one of the top challenges facing the Great Barrier Reef. As Nemo taught us, all drains lead to the ocean. Dung beetles increase the depth of healthy soil by depositing the poo up to 1 metre deep without us having to do a thing. They are the solution from 4.5 billion years of development time. Natural technology, self-replicating without our intervention. In the same way that we can't replicate the work bees do for pollination, we cannot replicate the job dung beetles do to keep our lives poo-free and support healthy soils. So why are we still dealing with dog poo? In Australia, it's because we're an interesting evolutionary case. While dung beetles exist on every continent on Earth except Antarctica, our native beetles evolved with marsupials, and they're picky eaters. Giving them introduced poop is like offering someone the leftover strawberry in the Neapolitan ice cream. It's rude, and they won't eat it. Now, which flavour was left over in your family is probably a contentious issue for many of you in the room. But that's exactly my point. We all have preferences, just like dung beetles. The CSIRO tackled our introduced poop issue in the 50s and brought in a number of species suitable for our climates and the flavours of poop we introduced. If we are lucky enough to build new suburbs on farmland with an existing colony of beetles that like the flavour of dog poo, we're likely to lose them because we cut the first metre of topsoil, which is their breeding grounds, when we cut blocks for development. We take all of that away, then we make sure there is no reliable food source for any remaining bugs that do hatch, because we wrap our dog's poo in plastic, then bin it, and pop down to the local garden centre to buy lawn fertiliser. We are very good as humans at transforming natural environments. Personally, I enjoy a good suburban footpath. I'm not suggesting we stop. just that when we do, we reintroduce the species which support the whole, like birds, ladybugs, and bees. So, next time you need to harvest your dog's poo, instead of feeding a truck, consider feeding a dung beetle. They've done the development time. They know their shit.